Just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmys and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Odos? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show.
Yeah.
Say, just get it out there. Get it out there real quick. So, welcome to the show. If you're new to the show, could you do us a huge favor? Go ahead and help us with our algorithm over on YouTube. Head over there, search us up, Football on the Know Show.
Hashtag know-it-alls.
And then when you do that, hit that subscribe button for us. That way it locks you right in there. And hit that notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. Yes, and you can follow us anywhere you get your podcasts. That's right, anywhere. Even Spotify video. That's a new thing out there. Maybe not a whole lot of people know about it, but we're also on there as well. Spotify video, Spotify podcasts. Anywhere you get your podcasts, make sure you hit that follow.
Absolutely. We really appreciate you guys joining us with us tonight. We've got a cool show lined up for you guys. Another interesting week in the NFL once again,
I'd
Joe.
say.
Some ups and some downs for some teams, but
Still confused.
yeah, it's still confusing on who to even trust in this whole thing. But I figured we'd start off with a topic to kind of take a look now. Now that it's week 4, we're getting further in, like almost a quarter way into this whole thing. Let's see where teams are starting to lie, maybe, or maybe who might look to be in a hot seat or replacement. We've seen some quarterbacks get replaced this past week. So what's going to go on? Are they going forward with that quarterback or not? But one of the teams I thought about when we asked the question here, what teams seem to be in trouble already? I got to look at the Carolina Panthers here, Joe. They're up and down. They played tight against some teams, but then, other teams like the Giants, they look so good. They looked terrible last week. Baker Mayfield looks not very good. And for a guy that, again, people that were in his side saying, oh, maybe it's not him, maybe it's just, the atmosphere, whatever. He gets move on. He gets, goes to the Panthers, a new scene. You're the guy. Let's see what you got. And it looks like a lot of the same. He can't get the ball to like your key receivers like DJ Moore and stuff, and just not looking very good. And this team is kind of going nowhere right there at this point, giving up only getting a 32. They're ranked 32nd in yards on offense. So basically a lot of 3 and outs for this team.
Well, I mean, Baker Mayfield, he's shown us some highlights at times. He has. Whether it be with Cleveland or with Carolina, he's had some nice flashes here and there, but he just can't put all of those highlights together in the same game. And that's where it comes to consistency. As a quarterback, you need to have consistency in your game. You can't be like throw to throw or play to play. You're going to be up or down. He's got to have a little bit more consistency throughout his throws, throughout his decision-making, and throughout his playmaking, really. I mean, what we've seen so far in Carolina, and this was supposed to be the guy. This is the reason why they made that trade, to get him, bring him in. Even though they had Sam Darnold in their back pocket, they're like, oh, no, this is going to be it. Matt Rule was convinced, if you get me Baker Mayfield, this is going to be a winning football team. And offensively, we just haven't seen it been put together on the same field for the first quarter to the last. So with Baker Mayfield still struggling 4 weeks into the season with this new team, new teammates, and new offensive philosophy, we're not seeing the results. And if you're an organization like the Panthers, who have had high hopes because they are one of the younger teams in the NFL football league, that you see promise from them defensively. They look really good, but they're on the field all the time now. Offensively, they haven't been able to put it all together. And yeah, you could definitely, some of the blame, you could even say half the blame is on Baker Mayfield, but it's not just him. The offensive line too hasn't been that good as well. So yeah, everybody likes to point the finger at the quarterback because yes, they do carry a lot of the burden. They carry the blame, and sometimes everyone, when they win, they're like, oh, Baker Mayfield showed up. You know what I mean? Right. But we're not seeing that right now, and it begs the question at this juncture for Matt Rule, because we know that Matt Rule has had rumors swirling about him being on the hot seat now because he wanted to bring Baker in. That was kind of like his little push. He said, you get me Baker and we're going to win. And they're not winning. So that's one part of the equation. The other part is Baker, no matter what, whether it be in Cleveland or now in Carolina, still hasn't been able to prove to everybody that he is a starting capable quarterback. And because of that, now, I'm sorry, but the rumors are going to start swirling around saying, hey, what about Sam? Is he? Yeah, he's still there, right? Like when we had Sam Darnold last season, before his injury, the guy was lighting it up. I mean, he really was. He was 5-0 before the injury. And then once that injury happened, the whole season got derailed.
Right. I know. But again, when you look at the team, like you said, and it is offensive line too. Baker Mayfield sacked 11 times already. If you look at the pace that he's on, he's about to get sacked 50 times this season. So it's going to be pretty bad for them. And that's why you can't even get your main star in Christian McCaffrey going. And that's what they got to do. They got to be able to run around and revolve around him, get the running game going, much like what he was able to do in Cleveland. You had your Nick Chubb and you had your Kareem Hunts. You had to get Christian McCaffrey involved in this offense, and that's one thing they haven't been able to do either as well. So when the running game's not going, defenses then just pin their ears against Baker Mayfield, hoping he can make a mistake. And that's why, again, a lot of these 3-and-outs, they're worst in getting first downs. They're almost worst in passing too as well, and even rushing, they're 27. So not getting Christian McCaffrey his yardage, and that's got to be your key guy. And having these wide receivers out there, like I said, like a DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, these guys getting them the ball, the guys that you brought here to do something, and you can't get it done. That defense can only do so much. They're holding it to some low-scoring games here until it finally breaks, and then now. I mean, you do have injuries, and I get that again, but Matt, like you said, Matt Rule has had his time here. He went out and he's like, I like this Sam Darnold. Let's get him from the Jets. Let's bring him over. And that's been an up and down battle here. So let's go get Baker Mayfield.
No battle.
Well, kind of at first, but he was battling himself with, like the mono and then the injury too, not being able to stay on the field. So he's left searching. So where else are you going to point fingers now when you're the franchise, you're the owner? Is it going to be Matt Rule's going to be hitting the road, or is it going to be, hey, you've got to pass here now because you're here with Baker Mayfield. Let's work it through here. What is his leash? I know it's still early. It's week 4. But when you have to face a team, especially like the 49ers this week, I mean, do you stick with Baker Mayfield even too and see what he can do against a tough opponent, or do you throw Sam Darnold in there and then that doesn't look good for him if he doesn't show against a tough opponent now? So, I mean, that doesn't help him get success either.
No, that's the thing, though, is Baker's had his time. Like, we already have seen Baker enough with Cleveland. And, he could have had a good half of a game or maybe 3/4 of a game and then lose it in the end because of a bad mistake and throws a pick 6. We've seen this before in Cleveland. Now it's come to Carolina. I know it's a different offense, but even with it being a different offense, we're seeing him still struggle. So, I think this is where the blame is going to start to be put is on Matt Rule at this point. This is a quarterback that, listen, just like you mentioned, Sam Darnold was chosen. He's like, Matt Rule's like, get me this guy. We're going to be a good team. We're going to build around Sam Darnold. And then, unfortunately, last season, he was on a roll and then got injured. Now you fast forward to this season. Now it's almost like, okay, another offseason happens, and Matt Rule's like, no, hold on. Forget Sam Darnold. Get me Baker Mayfield. And that's going to be the answer. You got to stop playing hopscotch quarterbacks because your tenure in this league as a head coach is very, very short. Very short. And if organization or the front office of that organization does not see results relatively quickly, then that leash gets pulled tighter and tighter and tighter until they pull him right out of that position. Because as a head coach, we've seen it before. We've even seen head coaches get fired after a year of leading a team.
Yeah.
Matt Rule, listen, you've been given opportunities. Like, they've gotten you. Listen, they've drafted well. They have done that well. They've brought in some free agents here and there when needed. And And then with the promise of the quarterback position to be taken care of, they bring in Darnold. That Matt Rule, for some reason, just didn't like him or didn't believe that he was going to win more games because he was hurt. So they moved on. Now you got Baker, and you're not seeing any results. You're not seeing any positive results. You're seeing a lot of blown games because of some of Baker Mayfield's play. So now I think you're at a juncture here where you need to prove to your bosses that you can win games. Mm-hmm. And this is the year he has to prove it, because if he doesn't, I'm sorry, but Matt Rule is going to end up getting fired in Carolina. Mm-hmm. They're going to move on. They're going to find someone else to get some results. So there's a lot of pressure on Matt right now, and he can feel it. It's on the back of his neck right now. You're going to have to make decisions, much like what happened with Pittsburgh. They decided to change the quarterback role there. I think Matt Rule is going to have to. He's going to feel so much pressure to the point where you're going to have to bring Sam Darnold back in and say, "Here, team's yours now. Let's go try to win some games," because to salvage what is left of the season, no team has an easy season. I don't care what all the experts say, like, "Oh, it's an easy schedule. It's a harder schedule." They're all tough games. I don't care who you're playing. We've seen surprises, right? Look at the Colts. Yeah. Thought the Colts were going to get mopped the floor with the Chiefs when the Chiefs played them. And the Colts actually ended up winning. Shocker. So there's games like that. It's any given Sunday. So I think you do have to make a drastic change like that, especially knowing you have a Sam Darnold who is not only as good, but could potentially be better than Baker right now.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's still out there, and it's funny that for a guy that's been in the league this long now, if you look at his career, still not knowing or giving him a chance. Like some people would just assume, I guess, that you know what Sam Darnold is, but with, again, like the mono and then the injuries and stuff, don't know if he's really been given a fair chance altogether or really had a lot of
not in Carolina.
At least
no.
there. Yeah.
And not even with the Jets. Well, let's go back to the Jets, too.
Oh, yeah, and changing coaching staffs, too.
Because Joe Douglas, the GM for the Jets at the time, gave up on Sam. He was like, "Oh, no, we're going to start over. We're going to clean slate. We're going to draft our quarterback again, and we're going to trade Sam." Zach Wilson, okay. Don't get me wrong. Zach Wilson, he has some attributes that Sam did not have, like his mobility. He's a little faster and what have you, and is a little bit more athletic. Okay, that's what they wanted. They brought in Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is still young in his career to where he's still developing. We've seen flashes of him being successful as well, but the decision to move on from Darnold, I don't feel was like a good strategy for the Jets, because Darnold never really got that opportunity with the players that Zach Wilson now has. He never really had an offensive line to protect him. He never really had a decent group of individual players to play offense for him and that became weapons for him. He only had like a receiver, maybe a running back at no offensive line. So that was kind of like a bad, bad environment for him to be developed in. So, okay, Joe Douglas says, let's scrap it. We're done. We're going to start over. They do that. Now Darnold goes to Carolina. Darnold has success in Carolina. His very first year as the starter was 5-0, and then he ends up getting injured. I understand maybe he's feeling so much pressure at that point, like, okay, well, our season's pretty much done. We're going to lose a lot of games now that Sam is hurt, and I don't have an answer for it. Go to the front office. I'm sorry, my hands are tied. What do you want me to do? I lost Sam. We may have to go get another quarterback. So when they do that, and now they bring in Baker, but you're not getting you're actually getting worse results after this trade for Baker Mayfield than you did Sam Darnold a year earlier. So now, like, what are you going to do as a head coach, Matt? Like, are you going to give the football now and just say, "Hey, Matt, hey, Sam, save my job. Save my job, Sam, because I don't know what else to do, and Baker's not who I thought he was going to be."
Right. I mean, it's one of those things. I think you kind of seen it coming though too, because even the season prior too, there was rumblings about it too that possibly he would be on the hot seat. So if it continues here again, it was like the last resort to go out and get a Baker Mayfield to see if this is the thing that's going to light the spark, that's going to get it going. A healthy Christian McCaffrey, and you haven't seen any of that really. It hasn't been able to be productive. For them.
But the thing
in a division where it's kind of anybody's game right now, with the way the Buccaneers are playing right now and don't look very good with the injury bug that they have, the Saints playing the way they are, the Falcons actually are the dangerous ones right now at this point in that division. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too about this is that a lot of divisions are still close. They're still everything is open. Think about it.
I mean, everybody wanted parity. This is what we're getting this season.
Divisions that we thought were going to be, this is kind of like a weaker division. This X team is going to run away with it. It's not happening.
Right.
So far, we're seeing every division, just about every division, is so close that it's up for grabs for just about anybody. And for the Panthers, just like you said, they are still in the loop. They have to make a change now. But my thing is, like, I don't think if Matt Rule does decide to move on and get Sam and say, here, you're going to run the team now, and they have success, how bad does that look at Matt Rule? It looks really bad for him because now questions are going to arise, like with his decision making as a head coach, as a player personnel evaluator. Because if you were all goo gaga to get Sam Darnold in from the jump last season, and things were going good early, and then he ends up getting hurt, and then you're like, oh, no, he's not my guy. I want that guy to be my guy. I want Baker to be my guy. And then now, yet again, it's not. It's actually worse. This season, the Panthers are worse than last year. And the only thing that's really changed is the quarterback. So, and mind you, Christian McCaffrey also was injured last season.
Yeah.
So you got Baker, McCaffrey is playing, and you're still not able to put points on the board? You got to wonder. Now the questions are starting to look at Matt Rule and his coaching staff and the decision makers like, hey, we got to do something. We got to shake something up here. So I think the logical thing is if Darnold is healthy, if he's 100% right now, it's almost like he's going to be forced to say, okay, we got to try something different. Sam, you're in. Let's see what we can do.
Well, if they do it this week and he surprisingly has a good game against this defense, the way the 49ers are playing, I mean, that would be amazing for him. That would be probably the best thing that could ever happen for him. I'm just afraid the way, like you said, even the offensive line has been, some of the injuries that they do have, and then the way that they have not been able to put up points, it just looks like you're bringing him to the slaughter possibly here. But again,
desperation.
The Carolina Panthers, again, they're one of those teams that we're looking at and just kind of we're a little disappointed about. And it could be already done for either Matt Rule or Baker Mayfield there. Baker Mayfield throwing 56%, 4 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Some of the plays, it seems like he's trying to throw the ball away to stay safe, but still managing to get those turnovers to kill your team. All right, now you brought up the other team that I was thinking about too. Is you got the Indianapolis Colts. This Colts team, the thing was the missing cog to the wheel, or to this machine that they were missing was quarterback. For the past couple of years, even they tried to do it with Phillip Rivers here and get it done. The veteran
Carson Wentz,
and they made it close. And then the Carson Wentz experience, and now you see how that's working out for the Commanders. You want to talk about a team that feels foolish too as well. The Commanders could be on this list too. Is what they did.
Got suckered.
Yeah, well, I mean, it should have already been there. I mean, how could you be suckered like that? That's just this foolishness. Like, anybody really thought that he was going to come to the Commanders and do things?
Yes, the coaching staff thought that.
I just don't get that.
The front office of Washington, the coaching staff of Washington were absolutely convinced. They're like, well, Carson Wentz is on the market. Let's go get him. He's going to help us.
But who knows? Maybe at this point that doesn't look as bad as what Matt Ryan's been doing there, or not being able to do there for the Indianapolis Colts. Again, the defense has been able to hold up for them. Ranked 6th in passing yards, not being able to give up stuff there, or even on the run. So they've been holding, again, one of those bend but don't break type of defenses until it finally goes, because this offense is so inept. They're ranked dead last in giving and getting points in offense. So again, for a team that has and they had some injuries at wide receiver early on, we get that and stuff. But for Matty Ice, the guy who's been able to get these offenses going. He's been in those type of high-flying offenses, but then also with a good running game. When you got a running back like Jonathan Taylor back there too, you can play it safe and run the ball and then just not make mistakes on offense, with the throw. And he's been doing that on top of it, and it just doesn't look good for them, and they can't get into these games. That's why it's such a surprise that they were able to beat a team like the
Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
And that the Chiefs defense is by no means one of these elite defenses either.
No.
I'd
They're
say the
decent.
front line has been playing really well, but again, that secondary is lacking. But for him to come out and get a win here, but then last week, again, lay an egg, not being able to beat one of these divisional opponents, a team that's
That they
been
need
kind
to
of
beat.
on the ropes too in the Titans, but now they're finally getting things together
Yep.
and making a surgence. And maybe you turn it, and not you could look at the players, but is this possibly a Frank Reich thing again? Because who else is there to blame when you got an issue here? And because when you got a guy like Mike Vrabel, a really good coach, situational coach, really aware of the rules and the way things are going, and even though things were bad, turning this team around, and they don't have the best weapons at wide receiver either, but getting the ball to their key weapon, and that is Derrick Henry, and turning out some wins here for them. But the Colts look kind of lost out there, right, to me.
You talk about being inept. What's inept about this team is there's a couple of different things. What I've noticed by watching them, and one, Matt. Well, listen, when we were coming in out of the offseason, we're like, Matt Ryan, first time in his career, is going to have one of the best offensive lines to protect him and what have you. But the problem is that there are no real weapons besides Michael Pittman Jr. That's the problem, is lack of weapons. Jonathan Taylor, he's hurt. He's not even playing tomorrow
now
night.
he's not going to be playing.
So
now
he's
real
ruled
trouble.
out. Naeem Hines gets the start. So, and don't...
He's
not to
been
say
good,
nothing,
though,
but he's
so
a
in there,
really good player. Like, he's really good. He's been a rotational player for this team for quite some time, for several years, and is a very good compliment. So now he gets a start. We're going to see him with this opportunity. I think he's going to ball out. He's going to do just fine. However, when you don't have anybody but your number one receiver is Michael Pittman Jr., it's his second year. He's going to take a jump forward, and he has. But everybody knows this. So, yes, you have a rookie counterpart opposite him in Alec Pierce, and the expectation was, well, maybe Pierce is going to get fed the ball a little bit more because that's going to split this defense up. It's going to keep the passing game rolling, but it hasn't worked out that well because Alec Pierce is good as much speed as he has for a big receiver and his route running ability. He's having issues getting open. And then Michael Pittman Jr. is getting double teamed. So because of the lack of weapons, and you're not being able to run the ball because most of the time you're behind. So you're forced to be one-dimensional, and it's just not working out. They don't have that go-to guy besides Pittman Jr., and they need more weapons in that receiving core in order to be more effective. And then defensively for the Colts, they've played admirably well. They have. But just like you said before, they're a bend but don't break team defense with new defensive coordinator. Gus Bradley is now there, which that's how he's always run his defenses. And it doesn't matter who you have personnel-wise, they're going to be willing to give up yardage, and they're going to roll with the punches, so to speak, type of defense. And that's kind of what you see on the field when you're watching this team. And before you know it, now they're so far behind, they got to try to play, catch up. And you're just playing into the teeth of a defense.
Absolutely. We've got Cody Raptor in the house with us tonight. He says Ryan's missing his big elite player he always had. Pittman is solid, but he can't do it all alone every week.
Exactly.
And
they need more guys.
That's the thing. That's the thing. When you look at it and you look at the team, then that's the one thing Atlanta always kind of did. They were always able to go out and get that type of receiver or big player for their quarterback. You even think about even finding a nice steal in Roddy White even back then for having him there too as well. Somebody to dish it down to. The ability to have like a Julio Jones here for Matt Ryan was always a safety net, I think. That's why I think he's always partnered with a guy like a Matthew Stafford. Not exactly elite, but he's near there. But is he, not a victim of it, but is he paired with it just because he had Julio Jones, and Matthew Stafford had a Megatron and Calvin Johnson, so they always gave it to them all the time. They were the duo to get it done. So is that what we were looking at? Was he a product of that? How
No.
good really was he? I mean, and he was good at times, I think, enough to manage your team as well and get there to the Super Bowl. Just in some of those big moments, I think he wasn't able to perform. But now you're seeing him with less and not able to get it done like you're hoping to get out of the veteran.
You got to wonder too. Is like now that we're getting close, you're seeing injuries pile up this season, and even cuts. This is something interesting because the Arizona Cardinals they signed off of the Raiders practice squad Billy Price, who happens to be a center, former top 3 pick from the Bengals.
Yeah.
Decent player, right? Still out there. They grab him, but in turn, when you do that, you got to cut someone off your active roster. So they cut none other than the guy that we thought was going to get cut before the season started,
right.
Andy Isabella. Guess what position he plays? Wide receiver. There's teams that need wide receiver right now. Your Giants need it. Odell Beckham went and visited New York to see, what was up there and how much would they possibly be willing to pay the man to come back to the NYGs. And then also now you have a guy like Andy Isabella that's also out there. And there's going to be teams that I'm kind of curious to see how the waiver works because obviously, if a team puts in a claim, the highest ranked waiver team gets him. But I'm wondering because his contract isn't anything right now. It's still like his rookie deal.
Yeah, I mean,
so one, I'm curious to see if anybody puts a claim in on him, and if they don't, now it's open. You know what I mean? Now he can go literally anywhere he chooses. And if I was him, I'd go to a team that is in desperate need of receivers. You think about Green Bay. You think about New York. You know what I mean? New York, listen, they're decimated with injuries at that position.
Yeah, Cody
they definitely
says
need
here,
help.
he goes, I would be pumped if the Giants picked up Isabella. I liked him a lot coming out of college, and his speed could really help stretch out the field more. Just even being on the field is an upgrade, at this point for the Giants. And even
Well, you know
the
what,
fact,
Jim? He actually can catch too, believe it or
right.
not.
Imagine that. Yeah, that's the one other thing that we're lacking too for wide receivers. I think your job is to catch, and we don't have any of those.
He can
And,
get open and catch.
Yeah, and then the big playmakers, the guys, the little scrappy guys, they haven't played either. They've been on the sidelines injured every week. We haven't been able to see Wandell at all, and then Kadarius Toney again too, just MIA.
And then you look at Green Bay Packers, right?
Yeah.
They're a team that, everybody's, even Rodgers himself, before the season even got it, he was like, I don't know how I can win with these guys. All these young guys, they don't know what they're doing. But pleasantly, Romeo Doubs kind of blew up last week
Kinda
against
found
New
his
England
guy.
and is starting to become that go-to deep threat with guy with speed, not Christian Watson. You know what I mean? Not him, not their higher pick, but Romeo Doubs is starting to carve out a nice role in Green Bay, and you have him and Allen Lazard. Now things are starting to look up. What would be the biggest difference maker there is not Odell, but more of an Andy Isabella going to Green Bay to be that slot roller, to be that third option there to kind of fulfill that offense up too. But likewise, Giants, they are in need. I think they need to sign 2 receivers.
Yeah, he said, it's rough when their special teams player, Richie James, has been our number 1 receiver. Yeah, and again, the people are just learning Richie James' name. That's the thing right now because he's out there. Like normally in any other offense, he wouldn't be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and again, that's the one thing you think about, having some of these guys out there and Andy Isabella becoming available. We're kind of seeing now what Jacksonville is able to do with even a Christian Kirk, who left the Cardinals there, now is able to be a starter there for the Jacksonville Jaguars and doing fairly well. Again, not worth his money, I think, of what they decided to shell
not
out.
at all. He's a number 2.
Still, still performing and doing it and able to catch unlike the Giants. So
He's a number 2. Definitely
we're looking at teams that seem to be in trouble already. Who do you guys out there think? Let us know in the comments if you think of a team out there that I think might be in trouble. Right now, another one I'm thinking, I think the Rams right now, they just do not look good. Joe, I'm watching, I don't know what it is. Maybe I have an illness too that I just have to watch terrible games all the way to the end
Oh, my God.
in finality. But that last game, I was just like, I'll watch the whole thing. Let's see what they can do. And it is horrible to watch. And it's clear. I watched it week 1, and then again week 2, and then now by week 4. I mean, yes, I give it credit to the 49ers. They know how to play them. You've got, Nick
Really
Bosa
good
on the other
defense.
side. Really
Really
great.
good defense.
But that they are missing offensive line. They're missing Andrew Whitworth. They're missing everything they had before, and then injuries on top of things too is killing them. And Matthew Stafford literally has no time. The scheme, blitzes are coming in unblocked. You got Skoranek or whatever the frig his name is, who just can't block it all. But you've got him in there as like your fullback, and the dude's like 150 pounds. Like, what's he gonna block? You know what I mean? He can't block a cold. You know what I'm saying? And it's terrible. And it's showing. You're seeing this offense. Do you know from Sean McVay, experimental jet sweeps, all this, let's send them deep, everything else. They are ranked 29th in scoring and 28th in yards in the NFL right now. For a Sean McVay offense to be that bad, and your scheme, you know what you do. You're trying to spread it out. But when you don't have an offensive line and you're going empty back sets and you got 5 guys out, it didn't matter what they're doing because you got 4 guys to block. Half of them aren't your starters.
5 guys,
you know what I mean?
and then they're sending 1 extra.
Yeah.
Or 2.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean. An unblocked blitz comes in, boom, you're sacked already. The guys didn't even have a chance to run their routes.
So, I mean, the thing with the Rams, and I've kind of noticed this too, is like we talk about McVay's offense and what he likes to run. He utilizes those jet sweeps. He utilizes some screen plays. We're not seeing that as much though. This early in the season, I don't see him utilizing those plays that were kind of go-to plays for him so far in this season that heavily. It's almost like the offense has changed because maybe he started to feel last year that teams are starting to pick up on it here and there. And so he's like, I'm going to throw some wrinkles here. I'm going to throw some wrinkles here this offseason, and we're going to come out with the same but kind of different type of offense. And it's throwing everybody off, and they're not being able to make those plays that are needed. Tyler Higbee, the tight end, has been the best receiver for the Rams. He plays tight end. That's a bad stat to have. No offense to Tyler, but he's doing his thing. But the rest of the Rams receivers, listen, Cooper Kupp, hands down, we already know that he's going to get it done. But what is missing? No more Robert Woods now. He's gone. He went to Tennessee. And, it's like they don't have that other guy. You know what I mean? Like last year they had Odell, they had Van Jefferson, they had Cooper Kupp, and they were all contributing.
Yeah.
This year, it's a very different feel for the Rams offense. Yes, they still got Kupp, but they bring in Allen Robinson, who they paid a lot of money to be that other guy. And I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen game tape because that shows you a lot. But is Robinson having a hard time getting open? 1. 2, are the plays suitable enough for Allen Robinson to show off his skills? You know what I mean? Like to get him open. Like, are they being made for him to get open? It seems like everything is just circling around Cooper Kupp too much. Right. And the offense is spitting and sputtering because of all the focus.
Right. And we got a couple people in the house. We got Tom Leiter with us, Joe.
Whoa! No. We found Tom. Tom, you're back.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah, it's been a while. Cody says there's a few former Pro Bowl veteran centers out there, free agents on the market, so I have no idea why they haven't tried to sign one of those guys. They're struggling so badly.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that Rams center went down, last game.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it all fell apart for the offensive line. But maybe they will look at it this week, and maybe they've already brought in a few guys to work them out. I mean, we see teams do that every single week just about. Hopefully they're doing their due diligence in that area.
And Tom Leiter says Kupp gets double-teamed on defense. And despite that, though, he's still getting catches and getting open, and they're finding ways to get him the ball. And that's another thing too. If he's getting doubled, what the hell else are these other receivers doing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Especially Allen Robinson. And they were showing it in the game too, because I like to punish myself and watch the whole game. He's getting a good release, and he'll get there, but
Right.
then when it comes to the catch, he's like in the wrong position. Like he had a jump pass and just was off balance with, didn't get his upper apex where he needed to be for the catch. And then when he ran out on like a flat route, it's easily to him, and he kind of did an extra stretch, caught it, and then fell. Like, dude, that's planned for you to catch it, turn up. And if you're getting a chunk like 1-2 yards here and there, and then
matter.
you're just missing, and it doesn't matter. And I remember week 1 again, he wasn't. He was running out the full routes and not kind of settling himself in the zone, trying to get open. So I think a lot of it is maybe Allen Robinson not, fitting or meshing well possibly with the offense.
And that's the interesting thing is there's a big question mark right now over Allen Robinson. Is he a bad player? No. He has been a good player in the NFL with Chicago, with Jacksonville when he started his career. And he kind of made a name for himself and was the go-to guy. Now he comes to LA and it's almost like he's disappeared. Like we see him on the football field, see him running around, but we don't see any balls being thrown to him. So I kind of wonder, like, is it the play calling? Is everything so focused on Kupp to get him the ball? So much so that it's, neglecting some of these other receivers like a Van Jefferson, like a Allen Robinson. I think they need to do a better job offensively to spread this ball around to Van Jefferson, to Allen Robinson, take that pressure off of Cooper Kupp, because then everybody, and that's the thing that we've noticed right already, is everyone's focusing on Kupp and you're still trying to get the ball to him. You got to be kidding me. You got to be able to spread this around. Otherwise, this offense is going to continue to struggle.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Tom also said, did you mention Cole Beasley retired?
No, but you have.
Tom is always
Congratulations.
late. There you go.
Our know-it-all right in the chat. See, boom.
Yeah.
News.
Yeah, news. There you
We
go.
got it scrolling on the bottom, but thanks, Tom, for bringing that up. Yeah, Cole Beasley retired, and it was kind of I was talking to my dad today about this, and I was like, hey, did you hear about Cole Beasley just retired? And he goes, oh, really? That quick?
Yeah, quick,
Everybody's surprised because he can still play. But to be fair, Tampa signed him just for the moment. You know what I mean? They were like, oh, now we're going to start getting our guys healthy back. Chris Godwin comes back. Mike Evans served his suspension. He's back. Julio Jones is on the brink of being healthy again and coming back. They're like, okay, have a nice day. You're cut. Like, what the heck? So Cole Beasley, I'm surprised he was decided to retire so quickly, though, because I feel like teams like the Buffalo Bills, his former team, Isaiah McKenzie has a concussion. He could have ended up signing right back with them. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it was a little bit of surprise because I still think the guy can play, but maybe he just kind of reached that point and it took for Tampa to sign him to kind of let that sink in, but he decided to retire. He's done.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and that's maybe what he looked at. He's like, all right, I'm just this little piece here, try to get it done or whatever. It's not really in the future. I'll just walk away.
He wants to be more
point. Maybe his rapping career is going to take off now, Joe. Who knows? Maybe he can focus on that.
Can
Cody,
we talk for a second about rap careers in the NFL?
Because
Because
they don't work, right? I don't think anybody's had a successful one.
No, there's a ton of athletes in the NFL that all have rap careers, that all come out with albums, that all have YouTube channels that they rap on and whatnot. And none of them are huge. My
well,
thing
they try
is,
to have careers. I don't think
I
any of them
know.
actually have a career. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
they have the money, so they have a
they
career.
Can do whatever. Yeah.
So, but my thing is like, why?
Yeah.
You made it to the NFL. That's not a backup plan. Like
Yeah,
that's. I understand they want to do it and whatever, but let's face facts here. You made it to the NFL. That is your career right now. You should be taking that so serious that that career is kind of like just a hobby, instead of trying to really make something happen.
Right, because I mean, maybe they were kids and they saw Shaq was able to do something like that, and maybe they saw it. But again, Shaq was already,
he was a
made it up or
DJ.
two. Yeah, but he actually had already had a lot of success. I think by the time he decided, I'm going to do some rapping. and then I'm going to star in Shaq Fu and all this other crazy crap and stuff and do this other things. But, again, he's a well-established athlete, though. So maybe they saw this and wanted to branch off into something like that. Because, again, especially athletes these days, they got their hands in a lot of different things. They want to do different things. They want to start clothing lines. They want to do this because they also think about their future investments to try and make their careers, whether it be the NFL or something else, more lucrative. You see other Joe Burrow even just started his other foundation, which is great about that they're doing to raise money, so they got their charities on the one side, but then also things they like to dabble in, like TB12, like Tom Brady does and stuff like that, and make lucrative careers doing other things.
Revenue streams.
Absolutely.
Revenue streams.
Cody Raptor says, Van Jefferson, is he back or is he still on the IR? I know you got the injury list, I think.
Not that it doesn't show him on the injury list. If he's back, it depends on when he went on IR. That's how you know. 4 weeks later, he'll be out.
All right. Well, one last team, I think I don't have them, set up here, but I was looking at it again. What about the Patriots and what happened to the Patriots this week, Joe? I mean, losing Brian Hoyer instantly, having to go to
third string
Zappe,
Bailey Zappe.
Yeah, and just again, you're like, holy crap, here we go. But they kept it close against Green Bay, and this is the thing about Green Bay that always bothers me, Joe, this season especially. It seems like they're just happy with hanging in with these teams, whether it be a good team or a bad team. They're not getting separation at all. And you had your third string quarterback in the Patriots challenging you here. Be it that one delay of game that should have been called, the delay of game that he ended up getting a touchdown on is complete BS. Like, are they still, the Patriots still in the referee's pockets, I guess? Like, I don't get this.
I think a lot of teams have gotten away with that, though.
Holy crap.
A lot of teams have.
This season, I'm kind of seeing that. You know what I mean? And they try to justify it like, well, you get that half second,
No.
Longer than that.
There's no such thing as a half second. You don't get a half second when the clock says 0. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, let's tell your kids that when they're running in track or something like that. You got the timer going. You're like, hold on. When it hits 0, you get that. Now I look down at 0, and now it has to be it. You don't get that other look down. What the hell is that, dude? But did this happen for Green Bay again? But the Patriots in a tough division already to fall again, and now you've got this issue. So now they're looking at other quarterbacks to come in.
Right.
And the Jets pull off another win, so bounce on in front of them, and it looks like the Patriots are going to be at the bottom of this division like we might have called early on.
It's still early in the season, but what I'll say about the Patriots is that they have been playing a hell of a lot better from 2 weeks ago. We noticed in week 3 a kind of a turnaround, especially on defense, that they started to play a lot more aggressive. They started to play a lot better. They were in better positioning, and the team has been playing better for it. Offensively and defensively, this week, we've seen everything come together for New England. They applied pressure. They had good coverage. They made, Aaron Rodgers, his life wasn't so pleasant that week. I mean, the Patriots were really giving everything they had in that game, and they still kept it as close as they could have. It was a surprise. I thought Green Bay honestly was going to start pulling away in the second half, and they just couldn't do it. So I will give kudos where kudos is due. New England is playing a lot better football right now, and they're surprising some people now at this point. Even though the record is what it is, they are now, it looks like they are the New England Patriots that are competitive and are going to be in every game.
And that's the one thing when I talked about earlier, first of all, Cody, he says, worst thing ever, too, with that delay game. There was a good 4 or 5 seconds after he hit 0.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
That's the one thing I brought about before, the way coaching is. Everybody wants to dog Bill Belichick now that, maybe he's dealing with some growing pains here. Now he doesn't have Tom Brady. Tom Brady had instant success, mind you, with a lot of stars there on that Tampa Bay roster, and they even started to pick up others because people, they'll flock to a team that looks like it's already set up with other stars, and they'll take veteran deals to get there, and they kind of loaded that team. But Belichick going through the growing pains, and to be able to, you saw him on the sideline talking to the third-string quarterback there, and then talk him up and play that game, like you said, defensively as well, against, look at, this maybe even shows you maybe even how the AFC is still. This is supposed to be, the NFC basically has nobody, and the Packers is supposed to be the team coming out of the NFC, you would think, that has to make that surge that is talked about as one of the better teams in the NFC, and the Patriots brought it close to them down to the wire.
I mean,
And that shows you what coaching does.
I still-
for a third string quarterback to come in here too as well. And like you said,
I
and
still
help your
think.
defense.
Well, I mean, we talk about third string quarterbacks, but the thing is like, what have the Patriots always done a really good job of? Getting players that fit their system, and that's what Bailey Zappe is. Bailey Zappe, they're not going to ask him to throw a 50-yard pass down the field. They just want him to be accurate, on time, good decision making. You know what I mean? Not hold on to the football. And that's what that offense is all about. That's why he fits it perfectly. You know what I mean? So that's what they've done so well for so long, and it's still continuing today. Now you look at, the Packers in the NFC and the strength of the NFC versus the AFC, and it looks daunting that the AFC is so, you could say, superior at this point. And that's where you're starting to see these games where, like, a team like the Patriots, who everybody is kind of at time, certain parts of the week, everyone's kind of like writing off the Patriots and just thinking, oh, well, they don't have Brady anymore, so we don't know how good they're going to be. But they're still competitive. They're still in games. Yeah, they struggled the first 2 weeks, but they're still there right now. This is where we're starting to notice that hopefully, Mac Jones comes back sooner and they can kind of get back on track with him. But right now, the NFC is kind of wide open. There is no team. I know in the offseason we're like, oh, well, in this division, it's going to be Tampa Bay running away with it. In this division, it's going to be Green Bay. But honestly, there's so much parity now in both conferences that we're seeing a lot of upsets happening. We're seeing a lot of closer games than we thought was going to happen. And it's amazing, to be honest. As a football fan, every game counts. Every game is so close now. There's no more like 42 to 14 blowouts. It looks like everything is so close, and it's very enjoyable to watch.
The Tom Leiter, talk about it here. Tom Leiter, Seattle Seahawks fan. He says Geno Smith, NFC Offensive Player of the Week, flash in the pants or just playing a bad defense. And Cody says flash in the pants. LOL. I'm going to use that one for sure.
I think it's a combination of both. Because here's the thing: is that Geno Smith, what we've seen him do last season.
Yeah.
He struggled big time. He threw a lot of picks, and I think he threw like 4 picks in a game, and things were like, oh, wow, geez, no, I hope he doesn't win the job. But what you're seeing is that, like, Geno Smith came back this offseason, worked extremely hard, already knew the offense, so he had a leg up on a guy like Drew Lock, who got traded there.
Yeah.
And ends up winning the job outright and is starting to prove some people wrong, me included. I thought Geno Smith was going to be a disaster for Seattle.
I'm happy when I'm playing.
And the fact that Geno is, he's not killing it on the football. He's not throwing 350 passing yards and 7 touchdowns. He's not doing anything crazy. But what he's doing is he's managing this team extremely well. And in doing so, he's making some plays. He might have a mistake here and there, but they're able to overcome it. And with this young, youthful defense that Seattle has now that is looking really good so far, and this offense giving them a little bit more chances, giving Geno Smith a few more chances, it's starting to pay off. I don't think Geno Smith is the answer in Seattle.
Yeah.
But what you got to like if you're a Seattle fan is at least he's giving you an opportunity every single week to win a game.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of fight out of these teams, too. Teams that you thought were dead in the water again in their tool mode, really fighting with heart, and Geno Smith, what he's fighting for. But even that defense has been playing well at times for this team and
very fast.
Really doing it. Paul Matty's in the house with us tonight, too, Joe, from Playa Linda Beach.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, he was drinking last week during the hurricane.
That's right.
He is still with us, hanging out.
He was partying out there.
Yeah, he was partying. He was loving it, dude. That's what they do in Florida down there. When the hurricane comes up, they go outside
parties.
and hang out and drink and party and watch our show. That's awesome. But yeah, I know the Seahawks again. Geno Smith. It's a good story. Flash in the pan, I think, is what you mean to say. But flash in the pants, that's really sexy too. I like that one. But yeah, you never know. And this is what they want: parity. You're getting it at its finest. Now maybe some Seahawks fans now, like Tom, are you saying even kind of like for them, because Geno Smith can't be your answer for your team now. So, and they're talking about the draft class for this year better than last year. So our Seahawks fans even kind of saying like, well, don't win too much though. Like we want to be towards the front still, be able to get one of these quarterbacks. We like what we're doing. We like to play and compete, but chill the hell out here a little bit. Come on, Gino. Where's Drew Lock? Let's bring him out here. Come on, the turnover machine.
It's a very long season, and let's just say, and listen, Geno Smith has numerous times had to use his legs to get out of harm's way, much like Russell Wilson had to do because this offensive line isn't as stout as it as should be at this point. So, I think that, because of that, because at times he has to run out of the pocket. But what he's doing and what is kind of it has evolved his game is that when he breaks the pocket and gets out, he's not always just taking off.
Right.
He is still trying to find someone to get rid of to distribute the football before he actually takes off. So that's a nice part of his game that he's developed up to this point, and it's actually paying off for them.
Right, and one other factor that he has that Matt Ryan doesn't have, he's got a DK Metcalf,
a Tyler Lockett.
And Tyler Lockett on the other side.
And
so that helps. Imagine one of those guys was over there.
There's a couple of your tight ends that I just can't remember their names, but they are young tight ends. One dude I'm trying to remember, the first week I think I saw them play, this dude had long hair sticking out of the back of his helmet, and I think that he could develop into be something special at the tight end position for Seattle. He looked pretty good.
All right, we got some comments here. Why don't you bring up the Cody's right there? Speaking of crazy teams.
Speaking of crazy teams, per Cody Raptor, the Lions have the number 1 offense, but the 32nd ranked defense. Been absolutely insane to see. It's the craziest thing is you have the number 1 offense up to this point in week 4, but your defense can't seem to get off the field. What are you supposed to do with that? This is a team that, and mind you, the Lions, I love their front 4 is really getting after the quarterback. It's just the back end isn't fully developed enough to take on a lot of these weapons that some of these offenses have, and that's kind of where the mismatch is the Lions defense clearly. Until they're able to shore that up, and we knew this was they're still rebuilding, but you gotta like what you see so far from this competitive Lions team. And just imagine when they get that defensive side of the ball figured out, this could be a very dangerous team for many years. Until that happens, we have to wait and see.
Was it Kobe Parkinson for the tight end for the?
It might be.
I think it was because I remember seeing their one game that they played that they won the first one.
The name's familiar.
Smith. I think that's who that was. Because I remember I saw him and I was like, yeah, I kind of like him
Disley,
too. What a
Cody
name.
Cody just said Will Disley is a beast.
I remember Parkinson.
I don't know all the other tight. Yeah, Will Disley's okay, but I really think this. I think it's Parkinson.
I'm pretty sure
I think this kid is going to be next level.
Yeah.
But Tom also said, he replied.
Never
mind.
The Lions.
The Lions are finding ways to lose, but by less than 7
points.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is they're in a sense their offense might be number 1, but defensively they're shooting themselves in the foot, and that's why they're losing games.
Right, but then even look at the injuries they had at wide receiver though. Even the last week, and look how they still were able to play. I mean, when you're losing some of those guys, well, that's what I'm saying. When you're these guys that have been producing from this season, and then they're not there. I mean,
Chark was out last week.
Yeah. So was Amon-Ra, I think, was out there too. So I mean, that's one of your 2 major dudes, and they're not there, and they were still able to stay in the game.
Yeah.
So that's what's impressive about it. We've seen guys with a little more even or same or equal, not do anything. Not put up any points. So, I mean, this is what you're seeing. You're seeing them play with heart still. You're seeing them still get it done with less sometimes. I think the future's bright for the Detroit Lions.
To think about it, Swift was out last week, too.
Yeah,
their number 1 running back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying with those injuries. And they were able to still stay in that game. Goff looking better than he has his entire career, even missing his 2 wide receivers, number 1 running back. Yeah, just like that. That's what I'm saying. Still able to perform there.
I'm glad we're linked with Cody here on
he's on the same page here. We like it.
Hashtag know-it-alls.
That's right. That's what we are on. We're on the same page with the hashtag know-it-alls. We want to talk about being on the same page, too, as well. Joe's going to tell you about our friends at Mohawk Honda.
No, I'm not.
Joe.
I'm not telling anything about their crisp morning air, pumpkin muffins, beautiful foliage.
Pie? Football season.
Fresh apple pie, yeah. Oh, I could go for one of those.
I could.
And just like that,
some vanilla
it's fall, everybody. Boom. You blink, and you're here. The cold season is around the corner, but one constant is the buying experience at Mohawk Honda. Got to get down there to Mohawk Honda. They're the guys to go see. If you're looking for a vehicle, anything you want, they got a huge inventory. Biggest in the capital region. Head over there where you're greeted with a smile and treated with respect. That's right. That's the place you want to go to. The new vehicle inventory is ramping up, too, with pilots, passports, and ridgelines. Everything you need for this winter season right around the corner. Remember, this is the best time to sell your vehicle. They buy cars, and in some cases, you may be able to sell it for more than you paid for it, which is
cash
absolutely
money. I like that.
crazy. Ludicrous. Move. Oh, sorry. I was going to go on the tangent. It's just another advantage you get from the number one volume dealer in the capital region.
That's right.
Also, General Manager Greg the Hammer Johnson
Greg the Hammer,
and
I like
his
that.
team of sales consultants are always available to help you in the buying process.
Yeah.
And with that, they have big news. None other than Scott Moynihan is back in Mohawk Honda and bringing his 30-plus years of automotive experience with him. Stop in and welcome Scott back home at Mohawk Honda. Yes, the seasons are changing, but at Mohawk Honda, they're off of Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia. They always go out of their way to please you.
That's right. That's right. They do, Joe. And, I found
And
a
if you
picture.
block my
Scott
read
Moynihan.
again.
Sorry. Well, there's Scott Moynihan right there. So if you go into Mohawk Honda and you see this guy, say, hey, Scott,
Right.
yeah,
Just
how
say
are you?
hi,
There he is.
and then, exit.
Yeah. So, so make sure you say hi
Sign
to
for
Scott
that.
Moynihan.
Sign for that deal at the other counter.
Yeah. Excellent. And then say hi to Greg Johnson, too. And don't forget about their awesome service, too. All right, Cody Raptor, they're having conversations. I love it when our Nova Dolls have conversations down there through the comments,
great.
too. It's awesome. It's a Super Bowl experience. It's that flag football bond. That's what we say. Excellent.
If you don't know already, I play flag football, and I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're also in our know-it-all chat.
Boom, that's what it is with Cody and everything. And we had a lot of fun this past weekend doing that, man. And everybody's already talking about doing some more. Can you believe that? So that's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully we do it before the weather gets crazy. But, all right, our next topic here we got up. I figured it'd be fun talk about the New York teams here because, again, they end up getting some big wins this past weekend. And now the Giants are looking at 3-1 right there up in this division. And the Jets are 2-2 now, surprisingly. So I think Robert Saleh's collecting all those receipts, Joe. He's ready to pin them up and then show them out to everybody. But I thought a fun question to be about these two teams is who has the higher ceiling amongst these teams here, the Jets or the Giants? Because both weren't really expected to do a whole lot. One franchise has an all-new GM and a new coach. The other, again, Robert Saleh, a few years in, quarterback now that they're finally able to get another look at, hopefully he can stay healthy that they had drafted.
Yeah.
To where Robert Saleh, if he doesn't perform this year, maybe he could be on the chopping block as well, though. So what do you think? Let's talk about the Jets first.
I don't think Saleh's on the chopping block at all. I mean, I think they're still rebuilding this roster. You can't fault the guy for the roster not being complete, and they all know that. That's the reason why they brought Robert Saleh in, is to implement his defense most of all. But when he doesn't have the roster all together like he wants it, especially defensively. That's a still work in progress. Offensively, I feel like they're a little closer to getting things set and move forward. But defensively, that's much like the Lions defense. There's still a lot of holes that they have to fill just yet. So I still think Saleh is at least going to be there for another 2 years before judgments are going to start being made. If you're not seeing results in a couple of years, then we're going to have that conversation of, okay, is it time for Saleh to leave? Is it time for him to get out of here and start over again with the coaching staff? But beyond that, I like what the Jets are doing so far. The last 2 years, for the first time in Joe Douglas's career as a GM, has actually made the right picks, I feel like, in the draft, and he's made the right moves in free agency and in the offseason. So I like the direction the Jets are headed, and we're starting to see some surprises on game day from the Jets, upsetting some teams we didn't think they would upset. I mean, you look at that Cleveland game. I thought for sure the Browns were the better team on the football field. They were going to end up winning that game pretty decisively, and the Jets come storming back, and they fight back in that game, and they end up coming back to win. And it's happened a couple times for them. So you can't count them out right away. And then for the Giants, listen, 3-1. If we asked any of our know-it-alls out there or anybody said, what is your predictions for the Giants record-wise? Nobody at this point, nobody would have said a winning record. No, nobody. And the Giants have surprised us big time. I mean, now they're 3-1 going into week 5. I'm sorry. I had the Giants finishing last in their division, and pleasantly, they are still fighting for that number 1 spot in the division as of right now. So this is a Giants team that we thought they were going to go through some changes because of the coaching staff, the GM change, and what have you, personnel-wise. And we thought, oh, they might take a step back because of all the change. But defensively, it's been a pleasant surprise for the Giants. The defense has been keeping them in games. And then offensively, it's allowed them to get more opportunities to score, just to win the games in the end.
Cody says, what does he say? I think both teams have similar ceilings. I think the Giants have a slight edge just because of how the coaching staff has still found ways to win despite almost record amount of injuries. The Jets' offense is 100 times more, 100 times.
If they can continue this success, both teams, if they can do this, that could kind of. I don't expect either one of them to make the playoffs, but at least they might make it a hunt. They might make it competitive going right down to the stretch with other divisional opponents.
And we need to look at the Jets. I mean, again, having injuries at the offensive line and shuffling the offensive line a little bit here. Had brought in, Corey Davis before that. At the time, it kind of had to be their number 1 now. So now that you've gone out and you've got your Garrett Wilson alongside with Elijah Moore, Corey Davis doesn't have to be forced to be that number 1 guy now. Now he's that side piece along with everything, and you've got your young, fresh wide receiver to go with your young, fresh quarterback, so that can get this offense linked together for the next couple of seasons here. And like you said, maybe he's finally getting a little bit of a thumbprint on that defense and try and get that defense going. And you look at the guys that they had drafted for them too as well. So maybe, again, he is just getting his hands on things to mold it the way he wants. So if they can stifle the calls of the Jets fans when they get crazy and say, oh, we just got to make a change. This is crazy. We need to win. We need to do that. If they take it easy here, still ride out with these guys, maybe you're building something and not get crazy about it, because you saw what happened. In the press conferences, they're going after him. They're going after this, and that's why he gets upset. Robert Saleh wears his heart on his chest and his emotions out there. That's why he was saying, well, I'm taking receipts right now, and when we start winning, I'm going to give you guys all a call and all this other crap, whatever.
The other thing about
we don't
that
see it right now, but they are winning. But again, maybe now that helped that team get behind the coach, and they're playing for their coach right now.
The other thing about that too is no one really gives a shit about the media and what they say. The New York media is probably nobody.
Well, some people can't handle it.
No coaches really give a crap. They don't listen to them. The only reason why Saleh is kind of being more forward with them is because the New York media is one of the hardest medias to deal with.
Yeah.
They will poke and prod you and try to make you say something that you don't mean to say or don't want to say. But Saleh is basically sticking up for his team and what he believes in. This team could be something special. They got to continue to build on it. He knows that. But the reason why he made that statement to kind of defend his team and say, "Oh, I'm taking receipts. You, Jerry, you, John, and you, Jim. I'm making sure that I'm going to come after you guys when we start winning games. You guys are going to hear it from me." You know what I mean? He's taking a stance and to try to protect his team, to show his team that he's not going to take it from anybody, including the New York media.
All right, and Cody says, I'm still personally not a fan of Zach Wilson, to be honest. They have a lot of weapons, and I just don't think he will ever be the guy to take the team to the next level. And that's the thing we're kind of looking at here. Now, you look at on the New York Giants' point of view here. Yes, they are winning a little early here too, and that's the one good thing that you do see. This team again, kind of a mixed bunch of misfits at this point. Again, because of the injuries, I didn't think they were going to perform very well before the season, and then as the injuries kept piling on, I was just like, yeah, there's absolutely no shot at all, and I already picked them to be last in the division, but. Add on to the fact that Kenny Golladay, who was saying, oh, I'm going to come back this year and I'm trying harder than ever and I'm going to do this and I'm going to redeem myself, can't even get on the field at all. So where you're starting like a Sills in
when he's on
Richie
the field,
James.
he's not even on the field.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then you Darius Slayton, who said wanted redemption, and he can't catch a wide open pass, off the hands. But the other teammates, everybody else grouping together and pulling out victories. When you don't have, a Leonard Williams even in the lineup and stuff, and that defense is trying to get something going. And without even having Thibodeau there, who's finally, I think after this last game, looks like he's starting to get it going. The first game was a little skittish, trying to get around on the outsides. I think if they mix him around more and kind of do some stunts where you can get him starting outside and sneak up the middle, much like what the 49ers doing in this past game.
Welcome to the
could
NFL.
Be nice. Yeah, absolutely.
He's getting listen, and that's the thing.
Get it, yeah.
He's going to have to figure out how to beat these tackles because it's not easy.
Right, yeah, or just, again, work them inside even every now and then. But this team, again, is doing more than it really should be, and with the weapons that they have or lack thereof, I mean, it's really impressive, and that's the thing to show you one, the coaching staff, but then even two, with what the GM was trying to do. At first, they came in there too. They were like just trying to cut money too, and trying to get rid of this and that,
get back under the cap
situation. And they're doing it with less. And that's what you like to see when guys can do it with less. So you saw it with Bill Belichick, and that's what made him great. He grabbed guys that were cut or on waivers from other teams and turned them into superstars. You know what I'm saying? And this is what this guy's kind of doing. But when you look at him again, what are they building for right now? You've got Saquon Barkley, who's playing really well, which is great and all. But then what? I mean, are you going to give him a contract too? You've seen what happens when you give a contract to a running back, especially one now that has, since his first season, has been injured since then and hasn't been able to complete a season. But now you're seeing him perform well and being that guy. You don't want it to be a fool's gold and then bank in on money on him like the Cowboys have done with Zeke, and now you're stuck paying a running back and you still don't have your franchise quarterback.
Well, the thing is with running backs is they don't have insane value like they used to. So you're not really paying your starting caliber running back a shit ton of money like you used to. Like you think about like what receivers are getting paid now is kind of crazy. What quarterbacks are getting paid now is kind of crazy. Running backs still don't have that kind of value to where it can even come close to those type of contracts. So yes, you're going to pay him more, and you're going to pay him to keep him because honestly, he's your only weapon you have right now. Until you start to fill out those other positions with different receivers and up-and-coming guys, or even draft them, and they develop into become something great. Like, your only go-to weapon right now is Barkley, and if you lose that, you don't even have an offense. I mean, he's really been the train that's been making this offense go when it does have success. Mm-hmm. So whether it be a pass out of the backfield or him running the rock all over the field, knocking over guys and making something happen, you have to reward him. He deserves a reward. Yes, I get the injury concerns, of course. But when he is healthy, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for a really good running back that can help your offense move the ball. And,
right.
and in the end, those guys don't grow on trees. Right. I understand the injury concerns and what have you. Like, look at Christian McCaffrey.
Right,
Same
right.
thing.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. He's an elite. Mm-hmm. He is on that elite level of a running back, but he has a ton of injuries. But what are you getting when you have a guy that is healthy like him on the field? You're getting a guy that defenses have to be made aware of all the time. Mm-hmm. They have to be concerned about him all the time. And I think the Giants are going to work a deal out where it works for both parties, where there even may be some incentives in that contract of staying healthy. How many games did you play? You'll get a bonus. You know what I mean? It could be every week too. It could be as simple as you get $50,000 every single week. You're starting in the starting lineup. You know what I mean? So there could be incentives also implemented into that contract to where it helps both sides.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what you got to look at because he becomes a free agent, I think, this year? Yeah, after
End of the
this
year.
year. So
Yeah.
do they start those contract negotiations now? Because other people have brought up the fact that you're not really meant to be winning right now. You're not sure what you have in your quarterback. So, do you go try and get these guys right now? So do you take your highest value that you have? Saquon's at his highest value right now. And do you try and trade him and get something for him right now instead of lose him maybe in the offseason if you don't get a negotiation going in a contract for him to get him to stick around? So do you do that to actually to come back with something to get something for him?
The problem with that is look at your current team. Right now, he is your golden goose. I see what you're saying. You can get some. You can get
and I'm
some
just being
picks.
devil's
You
advocate
can
back
get.
and forth.
You
what
can.
I've been
You
hearing,
can
so.
save money because then you don't have to allocate it to him. But he is your golden goose. He is the only thing holding this offense together. He's the only impactful offensive player that you have. If you let's just say, for example, if you do decide to trade him, you get a few picks. You know what I mean, and hopefully that helps you in the draft. But the draft, we all know, is not a guarantee, no matter where you're picking. So you move on from that. Now you don't have a running back. You really don't. Now you have no running back, no go-to guy, and offensively, you have lack of receiving weapons as well. So basically, all you have is a half-rebuilt offensive line and a uncertain quarterback that I mean, at this point, you already know he's not the answer. And now they're just making, with Daniel Jones there, they're just kind of making it work until they can get someone. He's just there for now. You already know you need a quarterback, so you're going to start over anyway. So if you go and get a young quarterback, but now you have not, and then you have to kind of rebuild this offense all over again because you don't have Saquon Barkley to rely on. You got nobody.
Yeah.
Now you have a young quarterback with really nobody to throw to that's proven yet. You know what I mean? Maybe you get someone in a trade. Maybe you sign someone in free agency that's going to help out, much like they thought Kenny Galladay was going to be. And if in a perfect world, if it kind of all came together and you have a couple of veteran receivers and you drafted another wide receiver and he's starting to make but your running back, you still need to find another answer there. So it's like your offense, fast forward to next season, it's unproven. There's going to be a lot, and I mean a lot of mistakes being made by a new quarterback if he starts.
Right.
And it's almost like you're taking two steps back when you were kind of on the rise this season.
Yeah.
And it's like you really only need to change that quarterback and then build around everything else. So I think that they would be farther ahead if they keep Saquon Barkley there on the roster, figure out what they want to do with Daniel Jones in terms of we already anticipate him being moved on from. We already anticipate maybe they can come to grips with maybe holding on to him possibly as a backup in a backup role or say this, financially it's going to work better for both. You get to keep your job technically, and you get to fight for a starting opportunity next season with whoever we bring in, and may the best man win type of deal. I think that might be a better option for the Giants going forward.
It could be he wants to look elsewhere too and do that same type of thing. Maybe fight for a job somewhere else. Possibly too.
Andy Dalton wanted to do the same thing. And where's that? He's a backup.
Yeah. I hear you, but I mean, again, that guy's even been a veteran that's had probably more success than Daniel Jones has. So, but yeah, there you go. I mean, for me, again, it's up and down. I think the Jets have a harder time just because the quality that's in that division right now and the way they've been playing with the Dolphins and the Bills, it's a harder road to get to somewhere. I think the Giants, again, if they play like this with nobody, imagine if they get a few pieces next year and can get it going.
That's the thing.
They can
building.
compete, I think, with some of these guys because again, with the teams like the Cowboys. I think they're on still, despite what people are thinking too, they're on a downhill slope. I think still, they're trending that way. And I think almost if you look at it, you're seeing the offense for the Cowboys being run like it should, probably with Dak Prescott. Almost like Kellen Moore or even Mike McCarthy's like talk to him is like, yo, do this so it's easy for him. Let's stay balanced so we don't make mistakes and blah, blah, blah. You do your thing. And he's doing it. it's different from what we usually see out of Mike McCarthy's offense, right, Joe? So why not just cut the whole thing, see a Mike McCarthy, and just move up, Kellen and run it. And then if you're running it that way, that's all you need to do. You got Zeke there. You got Tony Pollard. You got Dak coming there. So then you can alleviate pressure for Dak having to do everything. Your wide receivers, hopefully, then Gallup will be back. Then you got a solid team, at least right now, for this season.
Well, you look at what Mike McCarthy is for the Cowboys. He's a figurehead. Mm-hmm. He's a figurehead to take over that head coaching responsibility where Kellen Moore can still focus on offense. I feel like if you were, like we had this conversation before when they were looking for a head coach, and we said, well, Kellen Moore's there. It makes perfect sense. He just slides over into that head coaching role, but still runs the offense. That is a tall task to do. Whenever you're doing both duties, like you're being the head coach and the offensive coordinator, it's an enormous amount of pressure, and a lot of times it doesn't work. Almost every time it doesn't work. There's a couple of head coaches right now currently that are doing two positions in one. You look at Josh McDaniels. He's the head coach and he's the offensive coordinator. You look at for the Texans. He's I forgot his name right now, but he's the head coach and he's the D coordinator. Lovie Smith. A lot of times it doesn't work. And I wonder if that's kind of what Jerry Jones was thinking when he was looking for this head coaching vacancy. Like, they probably had the same idea. Oh, yeah, Kellen Moore could just move right over. But do I really want to disrupt anything to do with the offense and have him be distracted?
Like, he's calling a different game when it just
so
seems
Mike
different.
McCarthy is a figurehead. Kellen Moore still is just focused on offense, and he can make sure that runs. And something that has changed for the Dallas Cowboys, despite their lack of a strong offensive line like they used to have, they still have CeeDee Lamb. That's the positive. Michael Gallup is coming back this week. That's another positive. So now they're starting to get back some pieces that they thought they were going to have earlier.
Yeah.
The other caveat to all this is Tony Pollard is emerging as the starter. He is getting more playing time, and every time he touches the ball, explosive plays happen. And just like kind of what you alluded to earlier in the show, Zeke getting paid a lot of money to not perform. So Tony Pollard is starting to ascend, and every time he gets the ball, and he's getting the ball more often, it seems like the Cowboys' offense is extremely difficult to stop. Pollard just makes things happen. And when you got a playmaker like that, no matter what position he's in, you get him the ball to help this offense grow. So let's see what happens. Dak Prescott is due to come back as well. And that's also the big question in Dallas is they're starting to wonder, now that Dak might be coming back, maybe not this week, but next week, do we even make a quarterback move? Cooper Rush is playing so much better in this offense and not to say he's better than Dak, anything like that, but Cooper Rush, and he fits this offense so well that they're really starting to figure things out and they're really starting to get things going. Do we disrupt that when Dak is ready to go? Do we pull Rush out and say, oh, nope, Dak's back in, he's healthy, let's go.
And then he pulls out.
So you got to wonder how Dallas is going to handle this situation, because right now they're having a lot of success with Rush there. And that's a good thing to have. Your backup is able to come in and win games.
His job.
But when Dak is healthy, I think it's a definite that he's going to be put right back in.
Yeah.
But is it the right thing? If Dak comes in,
especially, he's your guy. You paid him to be that guy.
Right.
And, that's what he's got.
If Dak comes in though, and they're not winning games, and they're struggling on offense, do you put Rush back in again? You know what I mean? Because it creates
make people lose their mind. I think
it creates a whole issue, because it's all about winning. You do what you can to win.
Yeah.
So
imagine that. I would love it.
It'd be insane.
That'd be crazy, but I don't know.
We know
But
that's
there
not
you
going
go.
to happen.
Yeah, exactly, right. Well, we definitely appreciate you guys watching the show with us tonight. Shout out to Cody and everybody out there. If you haven't yet, again, subscribe to us on YouTube, just Football on the Know Show. Search it up. We had a good live show a week or so ago, and a lot of people subscribed. We appreciate that. And we got a couple more planned down the road for you guys, too, as well. And also listen to us wherever you can find your podcast, too, in Google and Spotify and Apple Music. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our friends here that sponsor the show, Colorize here. Colorize, the paint professionals, Joe. I follow them on Instagram, too, as well, and they were showing
Fancy.
off the photos of the new place that they're getting going in Troy, right out there by Juniors there on Route 4, and it looks amazing what they've gotten going so far. It's not open yet, it's still in the stages, but you can see the thing that's going to happen, the beauty that is Colorize, because I've been in their other stores, one in Niskuna too. It's the same type of setup, and it's amazing how everything's lined up, looking nice, labels out, and the paint professionals that when you go in there and you ask a question, you might not know a damn thing about colors or whatever, and they can hook you up. They know exactly what they're doing. They're going to help you out and lead you to where you need to go. And I talked about the Niskuna one, in the Troy one that's going to be open, but they also have 2 other locations. That's in Queensbury and Clifton Park, New York as well. They focus on outstanding products from Benjamin Moore, but as an independent dealer, they also have access to everything paint and finish related, drop cloths, whatever. Serving everyone from the paint professional to your do-it-yourselfer, Colorize is eager to help you, and they're capable of making your next project go a lot smoother. So Colorize, the right paint, color, and advice from local professionals. Check them out at any of those stores.
Who
or
care?
At mycolorize.com. All right,
They
Joe.
care too. They care a lot.
They do. They really give you the information. They're fan friendly, and they're there to help. Just like that's what we do. We work with people that are helping. Like Mohawk Honda too. They're like a family. They like to help. Go out of their way to please you. That's what Colorize does too, Joe. All right, here we go. Let's get to picks time, Joe. Let's get into the picks. It's tight still. Picks competition. We still haven't gotten over 500 yet. There we are,
It's
sitting
okay.
there. But
I'm all right with it.
Yeah. It is what it is. Whatever. This season's jacked up. It's just between us anyways. Who cares?
I just think it's hilarious. Imagine if we go the whole season and
Right,
still
just have a losing record.
remain under 500.
Oh boy.
I think we both need to drink at
Yeah,
that
I know
point.
Mike Tackin's not doing too well out there either, though, for his picks. Cody, let us know how you're doing out there.
I know Cody is like 100 to like 5 losses and 1 tie.
No way.
He'll tell you that.
Oh man, that's fighting words, maybe.
It's rumors.
Here we go. Rumors.
Rumors.
All right, excellent. Well, he can put them on right here.
He's the expert. We're just
Here we
here
go. Well,
so we
let's
don't
start
get
off
fined.
with tomorrow night's game, the Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos, Joe. The Indianapolis Colts just, again, looking inept.
Don't
like
like
I
either
said,
team.
You don't have your Jonathan Taylor, so that's a major factor. Even with him, they were ranked 29th in rushing in the league right now.
I'd like to take a
That
mulligan
is
on this one.
terrible. Oh, I know. And Denver, again, not their defenses look good at times, but again, Russell Wilson, he had his breakout game, I think, a week or so ago. And then now, again, getting pressured, can't get it going. And it just doesn't seem like the old Russell Wilson. Again, it looks like you're getting the Russell Wilson and what you got latter of last year, and they invested all this money in him trying to get that quarterback grab, much like they did with the Peyton Manning, to try and get that turnout too, to get that ring again. And I don't think it's working out for him as well here. So even though, man, Denver's going to be at home. Indy doesn't look very good. They don't have Jonathan Taylor. I'm going to have to side with Denver, I guess, in this one. It's going to be tough. I don't know.
Broncos
Man,
have
this
a
is rough.
pathetic offense. I've witnessed this. Watching the Raiders kind of engulf Russell Wilson several times. And the Raiders' defense is not crazy either. So if they were able to have the success that they were able to against Denver, I will say this. The only thing, the reason why the Broncos have been staying in games is because of their defense. Their defense has been playing admirably well. And you got to expect coming into this game, too, that who are they afraid of, for the Colts offense? I mean, we talked about Michael Pittman Jr. being that go-to guy or whatever, but when you're double-teamed or when you're going to have Patrick Surtain locked onto you, that kind of takes him out of the equation in a sense. So Colts are going to have to find different ways to get the ball down the field. No Jonathan Taylor. He is out of the game. There's a couple other players that are going to be missing from this game as well for the Broncos. Broncos are kind of beat up after that Raiders game. I mean, they got a laundry list of players that are limited all week so far in practice up to this point. A couple of them haven't played. There's a lot of issues, especially offensive line-wise. Because I don't like the Denver Broncos, I am going to go with the Indianapolis Colts because I feel like
don't like them.
here's the thing: is when you don't expect the Colts to do jack shit, they
right?
kind of
Yeah, they could be.
kind of find a way to make it work. I don't know. This game, I think, is going to be one of these terrible games to watch tomorrow night, but I'm going to go with the Colts. Give them a shot. Give them some opportunity there to win.
Cody is going with the Broncos. He said he's like 5 games over 500. He says Wilson hopefully keeping his momentum from last week with the injury to Williams. The backfield will probably be a constant mix between Gordon, Murray, and Boone on the passing plays. There you go. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Like you said, could be something else. Indy could just show up all of a sudden. You never know. Because, again, Naheem Hines back there, it's not like he's terrible either. He's been able to perform when Taylor hasn't been there, or even back when they had Marlon Mack. You put Naheem Hines in there, and he was able to perform too.
The one thing that I do like about the Colts is their defensive line.
Yeah.
And with the fact that the offensive line for the Denver Broncos is going to be not only beat up, but they're going to have to go against a pretty darn good D-line. I like the chances for the Colts.
All right, next we got the London game, Joe. The New York Giants and the Green Bay Packers.
Leonard is still out.
Yep. He's going back for the Colts.
He's not playing.
Yep. Giants and the Green Bay Packers. Who knows? Giants could press the Packers tough because, like I've said throughout this whole thing,
this
Packers
is early in the
start
morning,
off
mind
early.
you.
Oh, I know. It's going to
This
be
is
early.
London.
I know. I'm wondering if we should just get up for early, have some breakfast, and watch this game or something. Is this going to be on television somewhere? I mean,
Yeah, it's on local
do
TV.
they do it? All right, good. I wasn't sure about some of these London games, but Giants, Green Bay again. I think the Green Bay Packers are going to start out early like they do, get a little lethargic, and allow the Giants to come back into this thing, make it close. But again, I think just Green Bay has a little more talent than the Giants do at this point. Even though Aaron Rodgers doesn't like the receivers that he had, I'd still maybe trust them over to some of the guys that we do have. I'm going with the Green Bay Packers on this one.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not go with the Packers in this one? Listen, they're both in the Northeast, and they're both going to be going over to across the pond. I just like the Packers' defense and what they've been able to do so far this season. Rashawn Gary's kind of came into his own as a pass rusher and is really getting after it. The Giants, I like the direction they're headed. I know that they're still rebuilding. And they're missing so much on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, at this point, Saquon Barkley is the only weapon they have to utilize. And with this offensive line that's kind of struggled, I mean, I don't know what's going on up front. I don't know if it's communication on the blocking schemes or what have you, but it just seems like there's something off about the Giants O-line play to play. So with the Giants coming in Green Bay on the football field, I just like veteran leadership, and the Aaron Rodgers and his veterans that are on that Packers team. I think they're going to make up the difference and win.
All right, Cody's going with the Packers too. He says as much as he loves the Giants, got to go with the Packers. I said I think we keep it close, but they just flat out have more playmakers than we do.
And watch the Giants win.
Who knows? And that's what I was going to say.
Isn't
I
that
pick
how it's
against
been
the
going,
Giants
though?
and they can win. So this is what's positive here.
Isn't that how it's
That's
it's
why I
been
picked
going?
against your Vegas Raiders, Joe, so they can get a win too. Because that's usually when it happens too. When I
think
pick
you were
against
the
your
problem the
Raiders,
whole time.
Yeah, probably. I was staying on them. I had to get off the train. All right, next. All right, we got the Steelers and the Bills. Steelers again. Now they're going to move on with Kenny Pickett. You would think, after making that switch in that game. So the Buffalo Bills again have been playing really hard. They look like the team to beat in the AFC, despite even having some injuries
Struggles.
that they had.
A little bit
At
of
times
struggle.
here still. But again, the personnel. The thing about the Bills is we knew this even in the preseason. They have depth because they and even on defense, you saw it in the first couple games too. They switch in guys in and out during the game just to keep everybody fresh. So that's what's good about these guys too, the depth that they have. And the Steelers, they've just been reeling right now on offense, and the defense doesn't look very good either. I'm like the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I mean, it's just clearly the Buffalo Bills.
It's
I'm
clearly not
sorry.
much to say
When
about
you
it.
when
I
you
mean,
benched
you see the
Mitch
Steelers.
Trubisky,
Yeah.
that's your decision that you're not going back to him again.
Yeah.
You're putting the rookie out there. Listen, the rookie had some success, but he also screwed up too. And you're going to see that week to week with him.
And still, that offensive line's been struggling too for the
Right.
Steelers.
As much as everyone wants to say, oh, they're much improved. I don't see it. But now they also still are without T.J. Watt. They're still waiting for him to get healthy and hopefully come back this year. There's no guarantee of that either. And then you look at what the Bills, what have they done so far? Listen, they surprised us a few times, and I think this is kind of going to be like a statement game for them. They're going to really want to put it to the Steelers at this point. To kind of just show everybody, like, listen, we're still the Buffalo Bills. We're still going to be pushing for this division and farther, maybe the Super Bowl. But the Bills, I think, get more plays than the Steelers do.
All right, there we go. It says
And you
Bills
got baby
for sure.
hands.
Cody says that. Yeah, the baby hands right there. That's
Got
right.
baby hands Pickett
He goes,
throwing
this
the ball.
might be the biggest blowout of the week between the Bills' overpowering offense and their defense
How
feasting
many?
on rookie
Okay, what's the
quarterback.
over/under on picks for this one? Because you got baby hands throwing.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there inclement weather? That's what I want to know.
Oh, that's the one thing we're in Buffalo, so I don't know. I haven't checked
It could
the
be
forecast,
crazy.
but it could
be raining.
be
I don't know. But
all right, next we
I
got
think
the,
he struggles big time in this one.
Yeah. We've got the Chargers and the Browns here now, Joe. Again, Chargers, they're sitting there at 2-2. The Browns too, as well, at the bottom of their division. Kind of keeping afloat. That division's been a little up and down here still, so they're still competitive. Chargers
Yeah.
still hanging in the mix despite having the injury to the ribs of their quarterback, and then but also missing some guys here and there. But again, some of the surprise I think for that defense has been struggling at times too with the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean this game is interesting, right? I mean, we've seen Cleveland Browns kind of let us down against the Jets, and we've seen them kind of upset people so far. So this is a tough one because you don't know what kind of Cleveland Browns team you're really getting week to week now. They're also one of those teams where they're kind of like on a roller coaster up and down. Chargers, despite the injuries that they've battled thus far, they've been able to kind of still keep it together. Joey Bosa, done for the year. That's going to be a relief to Cleveland Browns, and Jacoby Brissett doesn't have to worry about him. But you still got to worry about Khalil Mack. So look for them to kind of concentrate and double team him, keep him out of the backfield. But I still got faith in the Chargers in this one. I think the Chargers are going to end up going into Cleveland, and with the defense that they've put together, their secondary is really good. And then with Herbert, as long as he can kind of still remain healthy, I think it's hard to pick against the Chargers.
Yeah, I think so too. And you got to get Austin Eckler going too. Get him chug along like you did last year. He'd be a big part of this offense. And the Browns, they're going to still try and pound the rock. That's their game. It just you saw last week when Jacoby Brissett had to try and win them the game through that pick at the end. It just couldn't get it done. It was almost there, but that's the thing, and that's why he's a backup and he's not your starter. So I like the Chargers too as well in this one. Cody says this one's going to be a tough game, but I'm going to be picking the Chargers. It's close, but Herbert is the QB. I'm betting on to pull out the win. There you go. And we got the Chicago Bears and the Vikings. The Bears, again, are kind of who we thought they were, I guess.
I don't know what their identity is.
I don't know.
I don't know what's happening.
I
thought the Bears were going to win last week. I really did.
So did I. I thought they had every opportunity. And then I think Cody had brought it up today, too. They had fell for every single play-action pass, on defense, and just couldn't get it going even. The offense has been pretty bad too as well. Vikings, they've been not very good even too with the Kirk Cousins being MVP. That conversation's got to be out the window now too, because he's looking really bad and not being able to get to the weapons that he has. I mean, plus you were able to get your running back too and Dalvin Cook here, so I think that's going to be great for the Vikings here and finally have their complete offense. If there's any team to play to try and bounce back for Kirk Cousins and get it done, I think this is it. Vikings at home against the Bears. I like the Vikings here in a tough divisional matchup.
Yeah, this is where the Vikings can kind of make a statement and keep ascending in that division. Yeah. The Vikings, listen, the one thing that I've been pleasantly surprised about them is, everybody was kind of hyping up Kirk Cousins this year and saying, oh, well, just like you said, MVP status possibly, offense is really going to be, racking up the points. But defensively, the Vikings defense has been a pleasant surprise. They have been playing off the wall good. And then you have the Chicago Bears, who is an interesting team, to say the least. Offensively, still feel like they're struggling from time to time. Defensively, their defenses on the football field were kind of way too often. So that alone, it doesn't spell too much success there. So I'm going to go with Minnesota.
All right, here we go. Cody is going with the Vikings. He says Vikings have been weird, but the Bears have just been bad on offense. And he goes, I think the Vikings win this one. He's given a score 24-7. So he's actually giving the Bears
blowout,
7 points. That's interesting there. We should write down Cody's picks that he has on there too, maybe. All right.
I don't get paid that much.
Yeah, no, I really don't feel like doing that either. I'm not a statistician. All right, here we go. The Lions down, the Detroit Lions and the New England Patriots. Yikes. You know, again, oh, this is going to be rough. Again, let's see what we're going to get out of the Patriots again.
I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but you know what? Patriots do play tough at home. You got that whirling winds and stuff in that stadium. I think that they're going to be ready to play. I think injuries barring, I think the Lions have enough if everybody's healthy to pull off the victory in this one, though. But what do you think, Joe?
Yeah, this is a tough one because you have, just like Cody kind of brought up in the chat, he's like, you got the Lions' #1 offense, and they also have the worst defense. New England Patriots have been playing really well the last 2 weeks, and their defense has kind of really come up and is returning back to what we normally like to see from them. Offensively, in this one, I expect Mac Jones not to be able to play. It looks like they're going to be down. Who knows? Maybe Bailey Zappe gets the start for them. I don't think that, necessarily spells success for New England, but I do like what the battle's going to be. This one's going to be determined by the Patriots defense versus the Lions offense. And I know that defenses usually win games, but I'm going to go with the Lions visiting New England and stealing a win out of New England.
Oh, man.
You are a smelly pirate hooker.
So aren't you?
All right. Excellent. Here we go. Cody said, let's go Lions. I think the Lions offense keeps rolling, and the Lions pull ahead late in the game. How about that? He's calling all of his shots on this one. All right, we got the Seahawks and the New Orleans Saints. Saints embarrassed me again last week. Like, what the hell are you doing here?
This one's not easy at all.
Yeah, it was tough. But, again, Andy Dalton couldn't get it done, and that's what you're there to try and do that type of stuff, and you can't do it. Seahawks riding high, but, they are not at home, and I think they just play that much better at home. Geno Smith is rocking and rolling with what he's got, but I don't know. Maybe the Saints can come rushing in and pull the win out of this one here.
I don't know about this one.
It's tough.
This is rough because here's the thing: is like,
do you believe or do you not believe?
Well, it's not about believe or not believe. It's more about who they're going to have at quarterback. Right now, Jameis Winston is not practiced up to this point. They are missing guys like P.J. Williams, their starting corner. Michael Thomas hasn't practiced yet. He has a foot injury. So I wonder just what kind of a team is the Saints going to be, lined up, what they're going to have roster-wise. The Seattle Seahawks, we've seen what they've been able to do thus far. They've shown some flashes of success. I liked what they have going on defensively. Even though they are in New Orleans, I'm just not really sure about what they're going to have as a starting lineup. So because of the uncertainty, I'm going to go with Seattle.
All right, there you go. All right, next up we've got the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets here, Joe. This is the time to see what the Jets are made of here. Fighting a divisional opponent. They got to see what their ceiling could be here. Or do we see another receipt taken here? Cody says, as much as the Seahawks have been overperforming, I think the Saints win in a low-scoring game. Cameron Jordan and Marshawn Lattimore going to make Geno Smith's life hell this week. We'll see. They've, haven't been very effective lately. So let's see if this, again, one of these teams where the Seahawks should be like retooling or rebuilding right now, should be a winnable game for the New Orleans Saints here. But the Dolphins and Jets, again, even with Teddy Bridgewater in, if he started to look better. Like when he first came in, when Tua first had the first concussion, a little rough, but since then he's been a really good command of that offense and getting it going. And I think these other receivers are really sticking behind him too. And to have the weapons that you have too, I mean, it's amazing too. That'll always make you look better. But I like the Miami Dolphins in this one. Even though the Jets might try and play him hard in this one.
The one thing that I've always liked about Zach Wilson is like a lot of his ad-lib plays. Plays that kind of break down, and he's able to utilize his legs, whether it be running the football or just creating more time and getting the football down the field to none other than Corey Davis. And I feel like this is not only it's going to be his second time playing, but we saw him kind of dust off a little bit of that rust that we kind of talked about last week. And I think it's going to continue going into this week. The Jets have been playing everybody pretty tough, despite the injuries that they sustained before the season even started. Mekhi Becton goes down. But you got to like, too, their draft pick, Max Mitchell, who came in out of Louisiana. And he's kind of... Right now, he's on the injury report. Not really sure if he's going to play or not, but if he does, it's going to give them a much better chance to win the game. The Dolphins, no more Tua. He's going to be held out, as you could have already guessed, with how much trouble the Dolphins are probably going to end up getting in. Yeah. But also, they have one of the longest lists for injuries I have seen thus far. Because of how banged up they are and not with their starting quarterback. I'm going to go with the Jets in this one at home.
All right. Cody calls it, too. He's saying it's an upset alert. He's going to Jets, too. Jets coming in and shocking Teddy Bridgewater-led Dolphins. All right, next we've got the Falcons and the Buccaneers. Oh, yeah, again, this one, too, man. The divisional opponents here, but the Bucs, can't seem to get it going. Falcons are riding high, Zoe Carter is loving what they're doing again because a lot of people counting them out, but he said we got a bunch of dogs here. We're all playing hard. We're getting it going. But I think the Bucs stops here on this one.
Ooh, I like that. I like a little segue in there.
Because, again, this defense, the way it's playing, I think is still enough to keep the Falcons down. And I think now you're getting your weapons back here for Tom Brady. You're getting – when you still have Leonard Fournette and you have Mike Evans and now Chris Godwin should be able to play in this game, even though he got banged up in that last game. They should all be there, so you should be able to get it going despite the injuries that you have on that offensive line and how porous it is. I can see the Bucs turning around and getting it going here at home against the Falcons. So I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers also are going to get a little bit more healthier. They're starting to get the receivers back. Chris Godwin is on pace to come back this week as well. Julio Jones is another one to keep an eye out for. He's limited right now, so he's going to probably come back. Still, the jury is out on guys like Akeem Hicks. Cameron Brate, he suffered a concussion in that game last week by his own guy, pretty much. Yeah. So let's wait and see what the game status is at the end of the week. But another guy that's kind of been missing the lineup too is Logan Ryan. Been playing safety for them. Yeah. Hopefully he can come back for them as well. As far as the Falcons go, the defense has been pretty darn good. Their secondary has been locked down pretty much. And the only thing that that's been holding Atlanta back really is their offense hasn't been clicking on all cylinders at times. They have guys like Kyle Pitts. They got Drake London as a rookie, and Marcus Mariota, surprisingly, is starting to play up to what was expected of him when he got drafted. He's able to run the ball. He's just distributing the football, pretty well, making good decisions, good reads. And the Falcons are going to be a tough team. This game, I expect this game to be kind of like a closer game, and a tight one right to the end. But even in doing so, I like my odds with Tampa, and because they're getting healthier. I got the Bucs.
What's the over/under of what you think they've mentioned the 28-3 in this one, Joe?
28-3?
Yeah, just because in case they're going to bring up. No, I'm just saying that Tom Brady faces the Falcons now again. Is he going to do a whole, beat the shit out of them and stuff like that? I just wondering, just because I know it's not the Patriots, it's the Bucs.
It doesn't even make any sense.
But just I don't know. There's the way these guys talk all the time. It's just I don't know. I can hear
They can talk all they want. It's irrelevant at this point.
Cody says Buccaneers defense I think has the difference in the game. Might stay close, but I'd be shocked if the Falcons were able to pull out the win.
I won't be shocked if that happens.
All right. So did you said Bucs on that one?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Titans and Commanders. Commanders can't seem to get out of their own way again. We'll talk about a team that doesn't really have an identity. Even though, sometimes they do play better at home, can they turn around and surprise people against these Titans? But the Titans seem like they've turned things around and getting it going, getting Derrick Henry going, running like he was, in previous years. I like the Titans in this one.
Yeah, the Titans, this game altogether is like what team doesn't want it more?
Right.
Because Who knows?
Kind of.
I mean, the Commanders.
That's almost like the first game. Indy and Denver might be. Like that.
The only thing is, like, the Commanders, they might be playing to lose at this point. Like, Carson Wentz is
Right?
not the
Yeah.
deal.
Could be it.
I know. I understand. People like to make that assumption. It's not true. Teams are still going to try to win, but the Commanders might not want to win. They might want to continue to lose, despite the fans that want them to win. But the Titans, they're a tricky team to figure out. Yes, they got their fair share of injuries. One of their biggest pass rushers, Alvin Dupree, has been out. Right now he didn't practice yet. I'm kind of wondering what his status is going to be coming into this game. Traylon Burks, it sounds like he's going to be missing some time, so they end up losing out on their rookie wide receiver that they've kind of been relying on. So it just kind of all the pressure falls on Robert Woods now to make a difference. This is a tough game. I really am conflicted on what team to take because every time I take Washington, they lose. Every time I don't take them, they win.
They win, right? So
But
who knows?
I'm going to go with who has the hot hand right now, and that is the Tennessee Titans.
All right.
I think Derrick Henry is
Nobody can blame you for that one.
going to be able to expose them on the ground and continue what they've been doing since last week.
There you go. Cody says Titans, King Henry will destroy the defense, and Wentz will most likely have too many turnovers to keep up with the Titans all game. We'll see what happens. All right, the Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh,
Joe.
the other thing, too, that I want to say about that game is it looks like they're going to be missing two of their starting offensive linemen, the Washington Commanders. Their center is out, and one of their tackles, I think their right tackle, Sammy Cosme, I think he's also out as well.
So that should be fun. We should see some turnovers then, Joe.
we might. We'll see.
Excellent. All right, next we got the Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Texans again have making some strong, plays too. Unfortunately, they can't pull out a win yet, like the Atlanta
They're so
Falcons.
close.
But they're getting
They're so
there and they're
close.
building.
Every
but
week.
Also on the other end, though, I mean, despite even he got pressured a lot against that Philadelphia Eagles defense last week. Trevor Lawrence really taking a pounding, but Jacksonville still played hard, and they've been playing hard the last couple of weeks here. I'm liking what's going on with them, and really you're seeing what they could do when you just have a different coach in there and then change a couple of pieces around and help out your quarterback. I like the Jacksonville Jaguars in this one, Joe. I mean, they're showing a really strong turnaround. Texans, I think, extend again with what they have. They're rebuilding. They look really nice. They're competitive, but they're just not there yet.
Yeah, you can't fault you for picking the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Jaguars have one of the better defenses in the league right now. And this is a team that we kind of said, don't be surprised if you start to see an uptick on how well they play defensively because they have some young studs on that side of the football. And now that Doug Peterson is ahead of the offensive side of the ball, it seems like Trevor Lawrence is much more comfortable and is a quarterback-friendly type of offense. So high percentage throws, and they're getting the ball out and getting to their playmakers. Also, the Jaguars have been playing a lot of teams tough, not just the Eagles.
Yeah.
They were kind of in that game, and it's anybody that they've kind of played so far, despite maybe week one where they kind of looked a little off. But the Texans are also in that same boat. They are a team that has come so close, so far every week for the last 3-4 weeks, even the whole season. They're just on the brink of getting a win, and it's either ending in a tie or they just miss out on a field goal loss. So this is a team that is due for a win, but I gotta say that the Jaguars have impressed me, especially on defense, so much that I'm picking the Jaguars on this one.
All right, there we go. Cody's along with us, too, as well. Jaguars, they're a different team this season on both sides of the ball. Texans just don't have a lot going on for them this season. 49ers and the Panthers, Joe, we talked about it earlier with the stress that the Panthers are in right now. Do they make the quarterback switch? Matt Rule, could he be on his way out after just failing so far with this team, not being able to get them where they need to go? And the 49ers, now under Jimmy G, again, the week prior, it was a little tougher for them still, too. And he had some crucial turnovers stepping into the end zone, which was a big mistake here. But keeping it simple for him, again, too. Big defense, creating turnovers or even stopping the other team. and then running the football. They were effective running the football. So then again, Jimmy G didn't have to make a lot of mistakes, and then get into his key players. Deebo Samuel lighting it up again, breaking tackles here and there. Boom, boom, boom. Man, amazing.
Sound effects, too.
Yeah, boom, boom. He's got it going. I like the 49ers in this one again, too. I mean, Panthers, again, I think they're struggling. Like we've talked about, again, trying to find their identity, trying to limit the turnovers. And yeah. So I like the 49ers in this one. More ground and pound.
The bad boy Baker Mayfield is not the answer. And so far, until they make a change there, I feel like you're going to have to expect much of the same offensively. The Panthers, I don't think they get it done, especially against a Niners team that is super hot. I mean, defensively, they have been getting after offenses. I mean, coverage-wise, they're turning the ball over. They're getting in the quarterback's face. They're stuffing runs. And that's going to help Jimmy G as well. They're going to get the ball back into the offense's hands and get some points that way. Despite not having Elijah Mitchell still, Jeff Wilson Jr. has kind of been able to make it work in the run game. But the Niners, to me, all day long, even though they have to travel to the East Coast, it's a 4 o'clock game, so it's not that much of a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here we got the Cowboys and the Rams. Well, first we get to go. Cody's going to go with the 49ers too. Baker's not the answer for the team. And as long as he's a quarterback, you probably won't see me picking them most weeks. All right, there you go.
Put that disclaimer in. Good job.
Most. We'll just change it maybe if I need to. All right, Cowboys, Rams. I think, again, when they looked at this game, they thought it was going to be a cool matchup here.
Yeah.
But both teams, the Cowboys right now are looking on the upturn, even despite the injuries that they did at an offensive line. It seems like they're gelling together. Again, being a more balanced team, and that defense has been able to get to guys too. It's not only just, you talk about the effect that Micah Parsons has, but some of these other guys getting involved too to help balance out this thing. So when teams trying to tee up and double on Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence is getting in there as well. So the Rams, that offensive line is, again, struggling, and then you've got the injuries on top of it. This could be hell for them. And I can't believe, the game plan has got to be, again, we'll just give it to Cooper Kupp again. So if the Cowboys are smart, you're doubling up on Cooper Kupp, and you're going to see Diggs there try and jump a bunch of routes on Matthew Stafford, who's going to probably stare down a Cooper Kupp a few too many times, and you're going to see him pull up a pick or so. I'm going to go actually with the Cowboys on this one, even though the Rams are at home. I'm going to go with the Cowboys on this one. How about that?
Yeah, there you go. Way to go, buddy. You just said with
I
authority.
just jinxed them.
With authority.
Yes.
But here's the concerning thing for me is that we all know that Dak Prescott is not going to be there for this game because I did hear a rumor that he's having issues gripping the football.
Yes, that's right. Gripping balls has always been an issue for Dak Prescott.
He's still working on it. In due time, he'll get it down.
I like you. You have balls.
He does. Maybe he does. I don't know.
Maybe there's something with that sleep number bed that he's got.
Maybe that's the problem.
Makes you a bad ball gripper.
But the Cowboys, they are getting healthier at the right time right now. Right now, obviously, we have Michael Gallup returning this week, which is going to be big especially with Cooper Rush already having success with just a guy by the name of CeeDee Lamb and company. So Michael Gallup returns to the lineup. That's going to add some more weaponry for him. And defensively, just like kind of Jim was touching on it, this is going to be tough on the Rams. Offensive line is really beat up. They don't have their starting center. And I'm kind of curious. This game could be one of these kind of mirages that you already think that the Cowboys are going to have a leg up on the Rams. And somehow, despite the injuries, despite the bad play offensively, the Rams end up winning the game. But I'm going Cowboys.
All right, he's going Cowboys too as well. Cody is going Cowboy. Cody's going with the Cowboys. Yeehaw! Here we go. With the Rams not fixing that O-line, he'll be picking the Cowboys. But as a Giants fan, I'll be rooting for the Rams.
That's right.
And that's how it goes, right? Hey, when it's
there
pick
you
'em,
go.
You got to do it sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I hate to do it, but you got to sometimes. And like I said, if I win, this is almost the reverse of what I do with the Giants. I pick against the Giants, and if they win, then I'm happy because the Giants won. But
Right.
if they lose, I'm happy because I got the pick right. Same thing with the Cowboys. If they win, I got the pick right. There you go. But if they lose, I'll still be happy. I'll take the loss.
The next game is the Battle of the Birds.
It's a battle of the birds, and it's probably going to get chippy. These guys get chippy, Joe. The Cardinals and the Eagles, it is like real birds when they get together. They flock
peck
together
at
and they
each other.
start pecking at each other.
Yeah.
Then it gets crazy. Let the feathers
Fly.
That is a reason there is a saying like that, and this is what happens. Eagles and Cardinals get together, it is brutal.
Do the
But I
Eagles
think in real
remain
life, an eagle
undefeated?
would eat a Cardinal.
This is going to be a good game.
Yeah. Do they? That could be the major question here, Joe. What do you
Could
think?
be.
Why don't you start off with this?
I
one?
think the Eagles have been playing so well up to this point that it's hard for them to lose, and they're also going to get.
momentum.
They're also getting back a tackle. It looks like this week, one of their starting tackles back, and it's just going to make them better. You know what I mean? Better protection.
Scary.
And it just makes them scary. Look at Jalen Hurts. I really wasn't sure this year how much better he was going to be, but it seems like the Eagles not only improved their team offensively and defensively with adding guys like James Bradbury opposite Darius Slay, but Darius Slay is also hurt. You know, there's a concern that he might not even play this week. And if that's the case, I mean, you got to wonder about that. The Cardinals have been a disappointment up to this point. They won a couple of games, but defensively, they're just not there yet. You know what I mean? I was expecting a Cardinals team to kind of not only defensively but offensively to really kind of go after teams and be aggressive and win a lot more games. And I know it's only week 5, but I thought they would have a winning record at this point and kind of lead the division at this point. But the Eagles going into Arizona, I got the Eagles pulling out a win here and remaining undefeated.
Boom. There you go. Cody has an upset alert. He's going with the Cardinals. He says the Eagles have been hot, but I think the Cardinals are going to surprise everyone in what will probably be the best game of the week. It could be close. You never know. Again, you've got the Kyler Murray being able to run around and maybe have this Eagles defense chase him around. But when you have, again, if Darius Slay is going to be healthy and be able to play in this game, but even despite that, you have James Bradbury in the secondary too as well, which is scary. And then that front
To be fair,
line too
though,
as well on the defense.
the
is scary.
Cardinals are coming in very heavily injured. They're banged up pretty bad, and it's a lot of key players. Marquise Brown, we know he took a big hit last week. He also hurt his foot. Did not practice up to this point, and we all know because it's midweek, it's still early in the injury report. Don't know how it's going to finalize, but guys like Rodney Hudson, they're all-pro center, didn't practice. DJ Humphries. It looks like he's going to be due to play, return to the lineup. Justin Pugh hasn't practiced. I mean, it looks like a lot of those key starters on the offensive line haven't practiced up to this point. We have to wait and see what happens Thursday and Friday. Friday is designation day. That's when you get a really good idea if they're going to play or not. If they're limited, they're going to play. But if they're questionable or worse, it's more than likely not.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm going with the Eagles too as well, Joe. I think it's just too much for the Cardinals to handle right now at this point. The Bengals.
I don't honestly, like Cody says, upset. I don't think it would be that major of an upset.
'Cause
It's a team that is expected to win some big games this year, and they've been one of those disappointing teams.
Yeah, because even with the personnel that they do have on the team over together when they're fully healthy, I mean,
And now no Andy Isabella doesn't
Yeah,
have a
right.
job.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, there you go. And now you've got the Bengals and the Ravens, and I think this is one of these. He goes hashtag lone wolf, and he goes the Bengals and the Ravens again. This is going to be a good, I think, Sunday night game, and this is what they wanted it to be, I think, because again, Bengals finally be able to looks like to right the ship, find their own, get things going, and it's right at the perfect time because again, the Ravens are finding their struggles now. So what are we going to get out of these guys here? Lamar Jackson still getting his due diligence and getting his stuff done, but these two get to face each other in a big rivalry here with the Ravens and the Bengals. Ravens at home, I might just give them the edge on that one just because they have been able to perform well, beat the teams that they kind of should, but they're at home. I think I like the home field advantage for them. And the Bengals, again, just getting it going, but I want to see more from these guys.
It's interesting that both of these teams that have been, where they've been status wise in terms of like their streaks or like Lamar Jackson came in hot in the beginning of the season, was throwing the ball over the place, was running the ball over the place. The Ravens started to look back like themselves again. And then the Bengals struggled big time in the beginning of the season. And much of that could be contributed to not playing enough starters in preseason games, not getting those repetitions in live play. Now it looks like they're starting to get back their mojo for the Cincinnati Bengals, and Joe is starting to dial up dimes for all the receivers across the board. And the Ravens, not only has their defense come back in full health, but they're really starting to play that physical play like they did a year ago. Calais Campbell returns for yet another football season, and the Ravens have something going on here. I think they're a little discouraged from last week's loss, and I think they're going to come back against a divisional opponent at home. It's very hard to play there in Baltimore. I'm going to go with the Ravens as well.
Yeah, Cody's saying the same exact thing. It's going to be a shootout for sure, too, as well. I hope it's going to be good, for a Sunday night game. This is everything I think we asked for. I think in this one, two young quarterbacks, at the echelon, upper echelon of the game and of the sport right now, to see them face each other, and to where we were going to see them play again down the road, for their next game because they're in the same division, but perhaps a third time in the playoffs, though, too. So that could be exciting where really implications matter. Next, now, finally, we got the Monday Night Football game, Joe. The Vegas Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. Raiders, I had picked them to win the division, and they freaking just not lived out to me. But, again, they started to look a little better last week and stuff, and they've been scoring points, though, too. It's not like, I think, for a lack of effort. They've been playing pretty well, just couldn't get it done, seal the deal. Kansas City, the only loss that they did have was against the Indianapolis Colts, but they've been able to face some of these other bigger name teams and handle them. Yeah. Handle them easily. That game was pretty much in the bag last week, despite, even letting them come back a little bit too, kind of playing a little more lax in the end of the game, allowing the Bucs to get a little something here. But even despite the lack of some of the protection that Patrick Mahomes has been getting, he's been able to make those moves that he does and make some plays, big plays that a good franchise quarterback can get you, and that only he can do a lot of times and not some of these other guys can do and score. And Kansas City was able to adjust last week. We talked about, I said a week or so ago how they wanted to do the deep ball, and they were in love with it. Despite whatever the team was giving them, they still wanted to go to it. Last week, the Bucs said, "Nuh-uh, we're not giving you the deep ball. You got to figure something else out." So they tried to play the short game, have Patrick Mahomes roll out, threaten the run, and then just do the flick passes, dish it off to some of his shorter route type of guys, and get it involved. So this is going to be a tough game because it is a rivalry here, but I think I like Kansas City at home.
Yeah, the Chiefs' offense really hasn't changed. It's more of Patrick Mahomes wanting to go deep. Because if you remember when he had Tyreek Hill, that was always a thing. He was always looking down the field and not taking right away what the defense was giving him. Same thing is happening this year. He's still wanting to push it down the field, but it's not there like it used to be. So he's having to be forced to dump it down to Travis Kelce. And this is the other thing, too, is whatever team that has played Kansas City thus far, I still haven't seen any defensive coordinator kind of make it a point to keep Travis Kelce out of the game. Or at least, right. I know you're not going to stop him. I get that. He's too good of a player. But at least limit him in some form or fashion. 4 catches for like 30 yards or something like that. Don't let him kill you like he did last week. He killed Tampa. And they were utilizing... I mean, the one thing that I will say is Andy Reid is probably one of the most gifted offensive minds I have ever seen in the NFL. I mean, this guy comes up with such unique and creative offensive plays that no one's seen in the NFL. To the point where, everyone's like, what are they doing? A tight end? Wait, Patrick Mahomes is in shotgun. Okay. Tight end is in motion. He's calling out a play, and then the tight end lines up, gets the snap, and runs it into the goal line. These are so creative, and that's what kind of keeps a lot of defenses on their heels, is because Andy Reid is so clever to the point where not only is this team good, but on top of that, now you got to deal with Andy Reid, the genius offensive mind he is. On top of it all, it's crazy. So it's really difficult to stop the Chiefs' offense. You can only hope to slow it down. I don't know if the Raiders are going to be up to it. Like, this is a team that is still learning the nuances of offense and the defense that has been brought in. And we're hearing that none other than Devontae Adams, Derek Carr, have all said that the offense that has been implemented by Josh McDaniels is one of the most difficult offenses they've ever had to learn. And it's almost like they have to learn how to speak Mandarin, is how they worded it. So, and learn it that way. So, I mean, because they are not all on the same page all the time, I feel like that's what's going to hold back the Raiders in this game. Because when you play the Chiefs, you got to score early and stay ahead. Because if you don't do that, 9 times out of 10, you lose the game. So, with that being said, I'm going to stick, because it's in Kansas City, really hard place to play, I'm going to go with the Chiefs as well.
All right, there you go. Cody Raptor says, sorry, Joe, but the Chiefs are on fire. And while this game won't be a blowout, he thinks, I just think that the Raiders can beat the Chiefs the way I think that's what he means. Can't beat the Chiefs the way they're playing. I think that's what he means. Not can't.
Well, we thought that about the
There you go.
Colts.
Yeah, I know.
So-
exactly. It could be anything. Yeah, so
Honestly,
it is what it is. We don't know. We're
honestly,
only guessing, right?
it's real simple. It really is just simple, too. If you
That's what I
can,
thought, Cody.
if you can slow down Travis Kelce and make Mahomes go somewhere different, you have to play man. You have to be able to play good man coverage, and that's how you beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You just it's the only way to do it.
Yep.
The only way to do
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hashtag any given Sunday. Cody says,
Hashtag know-it-all.
I say hashtag know-it-alls. That's right,
right.
Joe. And speaking of hashtag know-it-alls, we want to thank all you guys know-it-alls out there for joining us. Again, that's it for our show tonight. Again, if you haven't, join our Facebook group, Football on the Know Show. Search us on YouTube, Football on the Know Show, and hit the
said that
subscribe
already.
button too as well. That's right. Hit the notification bell, let you know every time we go live. And if you like to listen to us on the go, you just check it out on Spotify.
Anywhere you
Spotify's
get
a
your
great place.
podcasts, anywhere.
All
You
right.
name it, we're there.
Yep,
Hit the
that's
follow
it.
button.
So we'll see how this plays
Like,
out for
share,
next week. But
comment next time. Don't be shy. See, our boy Cody Raptor was very lively in the chat.
we like it.
And we're the most interactive NFL talk show out there. So help us prove that.
All right.
Tune in next week.
Excellent. I'll see you guys next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday nights for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.